there, Toby Lapinski for the New England edition of the Fisherman magazine, coming to you today with this week's video fishing forecast. I want to start things off by letting you know Fisherman magazine now offers some awesome long sleeve t-shirts available. The front side, we've got the Fisherman logo you've all come to know and love over the years. On the back side, got an awesome shot of a striped bass being released and the words "respect" underneath it. Now these shirts are going to be available in the coming weeks. All the details will be up on, in the October issue of the Fisherman magazine. You'll be able to call our office in Long Island and purchase them. $25 plus shipping and handling. I believe they come in at $29. Again, all the details are going to be available in the October issue of the Fisherman magazine, so check that out. We had them available last week on Long Island at our surf fishing show, and they were selling like hotcakes, extremely popular. So we're happy to start our lineup now of clothing. So stay tuned for more options, but in the meantime, we've got the brand new long sleeve t-shirts available. So, beginning with the fishing forecast for the week, starting off as always in Connecticut. The algae invasion really took over in Long Island Sound this week, finally, with fish being landed as far west as the Norwalk Islands. Now, it's not really just been a boat game, as is so often the case with albies and bonita. We've got some guys like Tommy Fusini, who's been getting some from shore. He even got some off his kayak this week, so he really took advantage of it, gotten the double up right there. It's awesome to hear. Now, one thing guys I've been talking to, getting in on, don't just sit around and wait to see fish. Don't wait for the bite to appear. A lot more of the fish this year really being caught just blind casting. Tins, as always, are working really well. The Hoagie SI epoxy minnows are doing well. Albie snacks have been very popular. Your standard tins, the Deadly Digs, the Point Jude, stuff like that has worked as well. But, just because you don't see any fish, don't be afraid to start blind casting. Good chance you're going to come up with something. On the striped bass front, Mike Roy, Reel Cast Charters, has been extremely well on light tackle. He's been putting his clients through a mix of bluefish, some big striped bass, and false albacore sailing out of the Connecticut River. The fishermen are pretty much all over the place in that area. There's still a ton of bait around Bunker. There's silver sides around Peanut Bunker. Pretty much anything you could possibly hope for. We just had some bunker splashing around right here. So there's bait all over the place. Again, Mike's been doing really well on those striped bass, on light tackle primarily. Let's see, also got where Captain Bruce of the Otter has been doing awesome this week, trolling his patented otter lures. Primarily this week, it's been a word of the otter tube and worms with the otter tails, and he really, a lot of times he works around Fisher's Island. He's been getting a lot of fish up to, say, mid to upper 40-inch range, and he had an awesome catch this past week. Early in the morning, one of his clients hooked up to a fish, broke off the tube, the fish, the whole thing was lost. Well, 2.5 hours later, trolling over the same general area with the same colored tube, lo and behold, the angler caught the same fish that she lost earlier in the day. Now, I've heard of guys, catching fish with lures in their mouths. I had a story about one back in the September issue, in the August issue of the Fisherman magazine. But to have the same angler catch the same fish twice in one day on the same lure is pretty cool. Let's see, moving on into Rhode Island. Howard Reed of Galilee Bait and Tackle reports some absolutely awesome albie fishing going on right now in and around Point Judith and along the Narragansett shoreline. Boat anglers have been doing well throughout that stretch. Shore anglers have been doing well. Additionally, along the avenues in Narragansett, as well as the east and west wall of Point Judith, or the harbor of refuge. A lot of guys have been getting into on there from shore, so that's another great spot if you want to add one of these to your bucket, knock it off your bucket list as a shore caught species. There's also been a very, very good cod bite going on lately out around Cox's Ledge. It's been slowly developing the last couple of weeks. So this past weekend, for instance, the Francis fleet was out there, and I think it was their Saturday trip. They had well over 200 keeper cod landed on the boat. I've been getting out a mix of clams as well as jigs. Primarily clams have been producing so far, but there have been some fish taken on the jigs. So that's awesome to hear. Hopefully this bite keeps up into the late fall and winter. I know last year the bite started off good, but due to the line of storms, really turned things off. So hopefully we get a much longer cod season this year. Then up in Massachusetts, Captain Jason Colby, Little Sister Charters. He's been doing really well on striped bass and bluefish in and around Westport Harbor. And he said there's been a really, really good bass bite he's getting in on around daybreak with his clients, tossing eels in the river. Then as the sun comes up, they move outside the harbor. They've been targeting bluefish again, getting some bass. Albies were around there at one point. But this week also he got into the afternoon, or late morning, coming back into the river. A continued bite on striped bass. Did really well, tossing, again, eels and chunking for bass. So right on into the day in the Westport River. It's a really good bite going on there right now. And then lastly, north of the Cape, Surfland Bait and Tackle up in Plum Island reports that the cooling nights and cooling waters really starting to kick the fall run into gear. They have some very, very good catches along the beach. As always, anglers have been doing well on bait, primarily soaking worms on the bottom. But they've also been getting fish on plugs, on jigs. The Daiwa SP minnow, as always, has been producing some fish. The large darters, the North Bar bottle darter has been producing well. So again, the report night bite is finally kicking into gear. Fish are starting to get active, and the fall run is starting to get moving up there. So there you have it, Toby Lapinski for the New England edition of the Fisherman magazine, wishing you tight lines on the water.
To receive the latest fishing reports, subscribe to the Fisherman's YouTube page. Click subscribe, then click the settings button and check Send Me Updates. You'll now receive notifications of the latest Fisherman YouTube videos and reports. If you're already a subscriber, make sure you've checked Send Me Updates in the settings so you receive the latest notifications.